Hello there guys, I'm Unstable Voltage and welcome to Getting Started with Old World. I'm still reasonably new to this game myself and I'm learning some of the intricacies, but I think I'm familiar enough with the basics to be able to teach someone completely new the differences between this game and something like Civilization and get you to a point where you can at least jump in, get started and have a reasonable chance of figuring the other bits and pieces out as you go. But I'll also be figuring some bits and pieces out as I go too. I am also working on a video series where I go through the game's tutorials. They're not particularly great for teaching you the intricacies of the game either, but they are good for the basics. And I'll try and remember to put a card up in the top right hand corner of the video and a link in the description. So I'm going to go in on a new game. There are a number of leaders and civilizations we can play as. We've got Ashurbanipal of Assyria, we've got Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonia, Dido of Carthage, Hatshepsut of Egypt, Philip of Greece, Hattusili of Haiti, Cyrus of Persia, or Cyrus of Persia, and Romulus of Rome. By default it shows you the bios for each of these leaders, but if you click on the stats button here and cycle through them, you'll get a little bit more information that is more useful to you for a new game. So it will list all of the technologies that you start with. It will list any unique units and improvements and shrines that you have. It will list the 4 different families that you have, so each civilization has 4 different families that offer different stats and abilities. That's something that's important later on, and also what your leader archetype is. I'm going to go in and throw down as Rome. We start with ironworking, which instantly unlocks the warrior, which is a melee infantry unit. It also means that we can unlock labour force, husbandry and steel. We also start with stone cutting, so we can build forts and quarries. And we start with polis, which basically means we can declare war on people. We can build walls, hamlets, and we also get a free worker and forestry. Got some unique units, the Hestatus and the Legionary. 4 unique shrines for the different gods. That's part of the religion mechanic. Again, we'll explain that as we come to it. There's 4 different families. The Fabius family, who are the champions. The Claudius family are the landowners. The Valerius family are the patrons. And the Julius family are the statesmen. Don't worry too much about that right now. I'll explain that as we get there. And we've got our leader archetype. We are a tactician, can serve as general and spy master. As a general is immune to critical hit. And as a general, if leader, which basically means the leader of your nation, minus 20% combat defense and combat strength. Stuns one target, stuns target for 1 turn, extra vision range as leader, hidden in friendly or neutral trees. So lots of extra bits and pieces we get there. I'll explain as we get in. So the simple setup, we're just going to play on all of the default settings. So playing on the just, so there are 8 difficulty levels. The AI always plays on difficulty level 3, the good, but the default difficulty level for the player is the just. Random seaside map, medium map size, opinion presets. So you'll see that the option presets, we're just going to go with the default ones for now. There is an advanced tab here where you can configure a lot of stuff, but we're not going to bother with that. We're just going to jump into a default game. Okay, so here we are at the start of the game, playing as Rome. You are Romulus, first king of the Romans. I'm not going to bother reading all of the flavour text here. You can always pause the video if you want to, but we're just going to skip through that. So, at the start of the game, you will start with a single settler and you will have to settle your founding city. Now, unlike a game like Civilization, you can only found a city on these city sites. It will be marked on the map as city site. You'll always be able to find them. And you will find these little sort of urban tiles that look like they've got huts in them. You can build a city on any one of those tiles. Sometimes you uncover more of them on the map through exploration. Sometimes you will find more of them by clearing barbarian camps. Now, if we select our settler, we do have the option to move around, and we have a movement limit on the settler. You'll see these 4 white dots above the settler. That means the settler can move 4 times. And we also have to take note of the orders down here in the bottom left next to the character portrait. We currently have 8 orders, and we will be gaining 11 per turn. So 10 from our difficulty, the just, and +1 from our legitimacy. Orders are important because you need to use orders to move any unit and to perform any other action with a unit, such as attacking and harvesting and things like that. For now, though, we're not going to worry too much about that, and we're just going to settle our settler on the spot. Now, you'll notice that down here on the left-hand side, we have an option to found our capital as one of 4 different families. Now, this is important because each family gives you different bonuses to that city and those units. So, for example, if we found the capital here as the champions, the cities owned by the Fabius family get +2 training per year. They get +50% city defense. New units start with steadfast, which is a promotion. So that's +25% combat, attack, and defense against tribal units. We can... what else have they got in there? The family seat gets +25% extra training, and on seat founded gain militia. So basically, their first city will gain a militia. We also have the option to go for the landowners. Their cities will gain 2 population a year. Their cities have a 50% reduction to the production time of rural specialists. Their cities get +2 culture per year per crop resource, and they can buy tiles. Their cities get an extra 2 citizens when founded. And we've got here the patrons. They get +2 civics per year, +2 culture per specialist. They can hurry projects with money. And then we've got the statesmen, who get +1 order per year, +1 civic per year per family opinion level. So there's a lot of things here that you won't have any idea what they are yet, like civics and culture and training and opinion level and stuff like that. All I'm trying to point out here is that you should choose carefully which of these you start with. Now, every time you found a city, you will get the option to pick one of these families. However, you can only have 3 families per game. So I can pick the same family for every city if I want to, or I can pick different ones. It is better to have a mix, but once you've picked 3 different ones, it'll lock the 4th one out. You won't be able to use it in that game. Probably for us here, one that might be nice for us are the landowners. We could go and get the extra defense in our capital. It will give us a free militia. And we will start with steadfast. So actually I think we probably will go with the champions. Now it's also worth remembering that these 4 families are going to be different depending on the nation that you play as. And you can see that information under the stats tab when you are selecting your nation. So we're going to go ahead and click on this, and we are going to found our capital. It's given me a tutorial about orders, but I'll go through that myself. So we get to choose research. Research in this works a little bit differently than it does in something like Civilization. There is a tech tree, very much like there is in Civilization. You can see that we start with ironworking, stone cutting and polish. They're all the ones that are in green. Ones that are in blue are ones that are the sort of start of the track. We can grab those. Red ones are ones that we can reach. We've sort of technically unlocked them. And grey ones are ones that we can't get to yet. There is a mini tree that you can toggle on and off if you'd prefer to look at it that way. So if we go and look at the tech here, we've got the option of tapping, divination and administration. And the reason for that is because the way that this works is it will actually give you a random 3 techs that you can choose from each time. And you have to choose which one of those 3 techs that you want to use. So we have the option of trapping, which will unlock the slinger, which is a ranged unit, and the camp. Divination, which will allow us to build shrines and start working on our religion. Or administration, which will allow us to build a treasury, which will basically give us some gold, and the granary, which will give us some population and extra 60% yield output for adjacent farms. I'm going to go with trapping, because it's nice to... Actually, no, I'm going to go with administration. Let me undo that one. We're going to go with administration. I think I've already started that one, actually. No, I'd already started that one because I clicked on it. But I've clicked administration, and that will actually put a little green dot next to it to tell me that it's targeted. So that's the one that I'm looking to go for next. So that's our tech selected, our research selected. Trapping's going to take 6 years. By default, 1 year is 1 turn of the game. Now, occasionally, when you get offered a choice of techs, you will be offered a one-time bonus. It might be something like a free settler or a free resource or a free worker. If you do not choose those, they go into the discard pile and you never get them back during the game. They are a one-time only offer, so you may want to think carefully before skipping them. They do still take time. You don't get them instantly. They may still take a number of years, but it's usually cheaper than building something yourself. Across the top here, we've got all of our resources. First, we have our gold, which is obviously we use for paying for stuff. We've got our food, which is used for growth of our cities. We've got iron, which is mostly used for training units and building some buildings. We've got stone, we've got wood, and we've got our orders. Now, you can see our orders went down from 8 to 7. That's because we used one order to put down the city. We've also got our science per turn, our civics, our training, and any luxuries that we have up here at the top. With most of these resources, you can actually buy and sell them. You'll see there are buttons here to buy and sell food, buy and sell iron, buy and sell stone. We can't buy any at the moment, but we can sell it for gold. Normally, a click is a single unit, shift click is 10, and control click is 100. So, if you sell, if you want to buy anything, it costs gold. If you sell anything, it costs gold. You can buy and sell orders for gold, but you can also buy orders for training. Now, if you end the turn and you have any orders remaining, any extra orders remaining at the end of the turn will automatically get sold for gold. So you won't lose out on them, but they're not carried over to the next turn. So here's Rome. The city is settled. It already starts by building a settler. So as soon as it starts, it's working on a settler. We've got a number of other units here. We have ourselves some scouts, and it's going to give me the tutorial for all of these. We start with 2 scouts, which are basically used for uncovering the land. We start with a worker, which is a unit that has essentially infinite charges, but is used for improving tiles around the area. We start with a warrior here, which is our melee unit, and we start with a militia, because that's one of our family bonuses for founding a city with them. Now, the militia is a very simple combat unit. It's actually an upgrade of the worker. You can see here, if we go with the worker selected, we can go to this upgrade button on the left hand side, and we can upgrade it to a militia. Has a 1-year cooldown, uses an order, and costs 60 training, which is this resource up here. Now, militia aren't particularly good. They're nowhere near as good as a warrior, but the game's going to assume that you're most likely going to have a lot of workers around. And if you suddenly get attacked and you don't have an army, or you don't have much of an army, then sometimes it's just safer to turn a load of your workers into militia so you can potentially fight off the attack. With any worker selected, you will see a number of these icons appear. These are suggested improvements for around the city. You can only improve them within your city's area of control, which is indicated by the sort of coloured border, not the blue lines. These blue lines are for movement, and I'll explain that in a moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this worker over here onto this tile because it's recommending that we build a farm. Now, you can currently see that we have 7 orders. Every time I mouse over a tile, the orders icon will appear on where the mouse cursor is, and the number will go down. So if I were to move the worker here, that would count as one move. You can see the white dots above their head is only one of them is changing to red. So if I move to here, that's considered one move. And that's because a worker has a base movement range of 2. And you can see that here with the worker selected, his movement range is 2. So a single movement can move 2 tiles and it will cost 1 order. If I was to move him to this tile, it would cost 2 orders. That's why it's now saying 5. And you can see there's 2 red dots above his head because it would be 2 movements. He would be moving twice. I could also move him to this tile slightly further away for the same cost because it's within that second blue zone. I could also move him into this third blue circle, which would cost me 3 orders. And I could even move him further on, which would cost me 4 orders. And that would use all 4 of his movement. The movement markers above any unit's head are also replicated down here on the bottom left-hand corner when you have that unit selected. So you can see as I move the mouse around, they change from white to red. If you want to move any unit further than their maximum movement range, they become fatigued. After that, you can force them to march, but then you start getting penalties. We don't want to talk about that too much right now, so we're going to go over here. So we've got 7 orders. Moving here will drop us down to 6 orders, and we've used one of our movements. And now we want to build the farm. We can also cut the trees if we want to as well. So cutting the trees will cost us 1 order. So cost 1 order and we will get 20 trees. Or we can just go straight ahead and build the farm. And that will also cut the trees for us anyway. Now you see that's used 3 orders. There's a very specific reason for that. When you go to trees, you can use 1 order to cut the trees. That will give you 20 lumber. And if you leave that tile alone, the trees will regrow. If you cut it again, you'll clear it. That will stop the trees regrowing, and that will cost you another order. And then building the improvement costs the 3rd order. So it doesn't. There's no cooldown on clearing, on cutting trees or clearing a tile, and that's the reason why we just spent 3 orders all in one go. Because just by telling the worker to build the farm, he performed the cut action, which gave us the lumber and cut the trees down. He performed the clear action, which cleared the site, and he's performed the build action. Now it's still going to take him 3 years, but you'll notice he's still got movement left because performing an action doesn't use all of your movement, although sometimes things like attacking and starting a construction will then stop you from being able to do another move. So we now only have 3 orders left. We cannot move all of our units around. So let's go and select our scout. Now our scout can move over to this site here. Moving within this circle will only cost us a single order. Moving within this tile will cost us 2 orders. We'll still have 1 left. Moving within this circle will cost us all 3 of our orders. We're going to move on to this shiny thing here. So let's move down there. And this is a map-based event. There are a few of these you will find. Our explorers discovered a cache of yellow star charts in the ruins. The former inhabitants must have been a tribe of great navigators. Who should receive these charts? So we can give them to our scouts. We'll gain a free scout, and we'll also gain 5 orders. Or we can have our astronomers are in need of inspiration, and we would gain a new courtier, the court scholar. Now, scholars, they cost you upkeep, but they're basically characters who can be used for a number of things. I don't want to talk too much about them this early on in the series, so we're going to ignore that for now, and we'll just pick the scout. Gives us a free scout, but it's also given us some extra orders. So now we can move around a little further. So we could go over to the ends of the map with this scout. And over here you can see we have some elephants. If we were to move this scout onto the elephant, you can see it's giving us a tutorial here to harvest a resource. We actually have the option to use one of our orders to harvest the elephants, and that will give us 4 gold and 40 gold. So now we have 40 gold. We could harvest this again, but not right now. There is a cooldown. We also have a barbarian camp. We don't want to get too close to that, so let's back away with the scout. I'm going to use 2 orders to move him over here onto this marble, and I can harvest that for an extra plus 10 marble. Now we're out of orders. We can't do anything else unless we want to go in and buy some orders for training. Now, training is used for a couple of different things. You can use it to add a general to a military unit, and you can also use it to promote a military unit. But a military unit does need to get some experience to be able to be promoted. We can go ahead and add a general to this unit. Now, we've got a number of options, and these will all be people who are characters within our game. If you've ever played the Crusader Kings games by Paradox, it's quite similar to that in the fact that we have the the characters button up here, and you can see all of these characters are characters that are related to us in some way or another. So this is us right at the top. Then we have our brother, who is also our heir. We have a female who's of the same family. We have a male who's of the same family. And another young male, and our mother is also part of the same family. It's important to keep the line of succession going. If at any time your line of succession is broken, i.e. you die without an heir, the game is over. So it is important to keep that line of succession going. That is something else that I will talk about a little bit more as time goes on. So we can't pick one of these people to be our commander at the moment because we do not have any spare orders. One thing we can do if we select ourselves here is we can see that we don't actually have, if we select ourselves, we can see our living relatives and see that we don't actually have a wife. Now, we can arrange a marriage, and it's something that we want to do as quickly as possible because we want to get a son and heir. So as there's not too much we can do right now, we can cycle between units. Now, it's coming up and giving us a tutorial for governor. That is a very important thing as well. If you actually click on a city, you'll see you have a button down here in the bottom left-hand corner to assign a governor. So we could assign our mother or we could assign ourselves. Depending on who you assign will give you different benefits or sometimes penalties to a particular city. We can't do it right now anyway, I don't think, because it's going to cost us 100 civics, which we have, and it'll cost us 2 orders, which we don't have. So we can't do this right now. So we're going to just hit the end year button, which is essentially end turn. And now it's our rival's turn, and then it comes back to us. So that is the first step, settling your city and understanding some of the UI. I'm going to continue in the next video where we'll start exploring a little bit more and talking about some of the other aspects of upgrading your units, going into combat, and just generally building up your economy. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will see you on the next one, and until then, goodbye for now.